Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody out there in social media and TV land. Welcome to Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve, part of the OBBM network. Happy Thanksgiving Eve, I must say. I'm Ray Amana, based out of sunny Port Richey, Florida, and my co host, Mr. Steve Reed, is somewhere turkey hunting, I guess, looking for his turkey in an undisclosed safe area somewhere in northern Texas.
Yeah,
Steve,
I found the turkey.
happy Thanksgiving Eve.
And happy Thanksgiving to you. Ray, we got to get this out of the way. We are an opinion based program. Now, we happen to be accurate and factual with everything that we say. Well, I know I am. I'm not so sure about Ray sometime. Uh, but we are an opinion based program. And this does not necessarily reflect the views of our sponsors and contributors and guests and so forth. So we got that out of the way. So disclaimer done.
Speaking of which, if you're interested in becoming a sponsor of our show, just reach out to myself or my co-host Steve, and we'll give you all the particulars on how to become a sponsor, so we could get your information about your business company, your services, your products, and help you grow as well. We are uh, syndicated or going to be syndicated, and our platform is going to reach a lot more people. So if you're looking at getting in on the ground floor of us expanding and growing and reaching more people as a sponsor, please reach out to us. We'd be happy to talk to you about that.
And I will.
So
That is nothing to sneeze at, Ray.
bless you. And we have an interesting topic that it can be or cannot be taboo. It's got controversy based on history, and that's the beginnings of Thanksgiving, how it came to be. You want to get us going on this?
Yeah, sure. And this is the fact. So Ray's got his rendition of facts, as we discovered when we were getting ready. So what is the history of Thanksgiving? Well, the original Thanksgiving, the first recorded Thanksgiving, was not in Massachusetts, Plymouth Rock, and the Pilgrims. It was actually in Cape Henry, Virginia, in 1607. Now, I don't know how detailed it was, but there was a time of Thanksgiving from the Europeans that came to the United States or to the colony area. But when the pilgrims landed and they were going through this whole process of trying to establish their world and all of the stuff that they were trying to do in the northeastern area, it was in 1621 that they had a time of Thanksgiving with the local tribes, and everybody was happy because the Europeans brought some new technologies, new ways of doing things for agriculture and so forth, and the Indians brought some ideas, and the Indians were very benevolent in helping the pilgrims because they had run out of food. And so they were all coming together to say thanks. There's a direct quote from one of the pilgrims from back in 1621. God be praised, we had a good increase in corn. By the goodness of God, we are far from want. In other words, that first year, they had run out of food, but they planted corn and other crops and so forth, and they were able to sustain themselves, and they were simply giving thanks for the abundance that God had provided them with. So that was the original Thanksgiving way back in 1621. Right? Your input.
Well, some of the research that I've done, the question that I came up with is, do Native Americans celebrate Thanksgiving? When I looked up Thanksgiving history, and then some of the questions that came up was that, and I found that intriguing. And some of the information I've got, I'm just going to read this to our audience. To most Native Americans, or Thanksgiving is not a celebration. It's more, particular in the New England area. They remember what happened post Thanksgiving, with genocide as a factual part of their history, and are reminded each year during the modern Thanksgiving. So it's more of a day of mourning for them, than a day of celebration, which is where, some people, do they celebrate Thanksgiving or do they not celebrate Thanksgiving because of the history of what happened with the American Indians?
Uh, some do, some don't.
So I mean, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's a tough nut. I mean, we, like you had said, Americans model their holiday, pretty much from 1621, the Harvest Fest shared between and I apologize because I'm not pronouncing the tribes of these Indian nations, but the Wampanoag people and the English colonists, known as the Pilgrims. Uh, Canadians traced their earliest Thanksgiving celebration to 1578, where an expedition led by Martin Frobisher gave thanks for safe passage.
Mhm.
So, I mean, there's a lot of stories out there, and it's finding the historical side of things that, keeps the true story of both the Pilgrims and the American Indians, to task.
Yeah.
What do you
Well,
think?
Ray, I've got two different sources that I referred to as I was prepping for today. One of them is a gentleman. He is an international historian. He focuses primarily on U.S. history, specifically early U.S. history, pre-Revolutionary War, Revolutionary, and Civil War history. His name is David Barton. He's got a website which is called Wall Builders, Wall Builders.com. It is full of documentation on everything you can possibly imagine. David Barton is probably the foremost authority on U.S. history, and his library has more original documents than any place else, including the Library of Congress.
I actually remember Glenn Beck interviewing David Barton
Yes,
years ago,
yeah,
and Glenn
yeah.
just was drooling over
Oh yeah,
everything that
absolutely.
David would bring out,
Yeah.
historical about our beginnings as the United
Yeah,
States. So, yeah,
and the thing is, Ray, a lot of times what people are doing is they are rewriting history to make them feel good about what happened or what didn't happen.
sure.
And so, you mentioned genocide a minute ago, that some Indians prefer not to celebrate Thanksgiving because of the genocide. But what most of the people are leaving out in that scenario is there was one tribe that conquered another tribe, who conquered another tribe, who conquered another tribe, who conquered another tribe. So it's not just those evil white Europeans that are causing the problem. The Indians were fighting amongst themselves. So now, okay,
Which
Ray,
is happening between Palestine and Israel.
exactly,
It's happening
exactly.
between Ukraine and Russia. I mean, it's all
You
over the world.
you got it. You got it. And South Africa and Nicaragua and Nigeria and whatever. One country is trying to conquer another country or one tribe or whatever. It's the way society has been for forever. And on the plus side, the United States is the one country that typically, when they conquer, they do not go in to try and change or really take over that country. For instance, when the United States at the end of World War II where we had defeated the Japanese, we didn't go in and try and take over Japan. We basically told them, you are autonomous. We'll help you rebuild where we can. The same thing with Germany. We they Marshall Plan. It wasn't for us to take over Europe. It was for us to enable them, and they maintained their autonomous relationship. And we did not go into conquer. And so that's, I think, one of the biggest challenges that a lot of people keep misconstruing. They see Americans or they see white Europeans as the ones that came in to conquer, but that's not what happened at all. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I would like to continue this, but we need to get to a commercial break and take care of some of our bills.
Absolutely. Well,
If you want to prep that up for us.
I am ready to go, and we'll just spend a couple minutes talking about heroes in action.
Hi, welcome to Heroes in Action. I'm Ray Amanat, founder and creator of this training system. I originally made it so that everyone can train for free. We have programs for kids, for women, families, and businesses. I'm an author, speaker, and educator on everything that has to do with violence and bullying prevention education. If you'd like more information about who we are and what our programs are, please go to our website at heroesinaction.us or give me a call if you have any questions at 727-314-2534. We hope to see you here to train.
So I just got an email from one of our donors
Mhm,
that she made a donation to Heroes in Action,
mhm.
and she said, "I've been lax in donating, but my great niece has been the victim of bullying, which led to
Oh.
two suicide attempts. Thankfully, she wasn't successful. It made me realize how lax I've been and just how important your mission is. Thank you for surging on, and how are you spending Thanksgiving and things like it was
Wow.
nice, but it's again kind of sad for people to donate because something bad happens to
Yep.
them in their
Exactly.
families.
Exactly.
And we want everyone to know that we're here for anybody to help them. Your donations, here's our QR code. Your donations enable us to go anywhere, and our goal is to come up with 4,000 donors that make a ongoing contribution of $5 a month, just $5 a month, which will enable us to go anywhere in the country and provide our training lectures and our hands-on seminars for free, just to empower people to know that they can be their own heroes and they can stand up to people that are trying to oppress them.
So, Ray, I've got I guess it's kind of a technical question for you. Your hands-on training, is it similar to the president's hands-on training?
To the presidents, no,
Or or is yours?
we don't go around sniffing people.
I'm sorry, I could not resist. But I do have a serious question for you. You said $5 a month, 4,000 people. What if somebody wanted to give you $100 a month? Would you take that?
We would take 100, 200 if they want. If
Really?
there is uh, if there's a person that has a will, but they don't have anybody to, it's called a living will. They don't have any
Yeah,
beneficiaries. They
right.
can choose a nonprofit and say, hey, we would like to donate this amount to help fund the nonprofit with their mission. So
That's cool.
anybody that's out there, if you've been bullied, if you family members committed suicide due to bullying,
Yeah.
and you want to help get a positive message out and help save lives, That's pretty much what Heroes in Action is about. Your donation would help us take it that next step or go further with what we've been trying to do.
Very
We
cool.
want to reach, ultimately, go to all 50 states and provide our training to people that are in need of answers to how to deal with
Yeah.
violence in their communities.
And hopefully by the time you get all of the donors in place and the money is coming in, you'll be able to get to all 54 or all 57 states. So we'll just keep going. So anyway,
We
I'm
got to
sorry.
work on your math, Steve. We got to work on
Hey,
your
I'm just
math.
telling you what a current president and a former president said. I'm just saying. All right, let's get back to something. I want to throw some a little bit of controversy. After all, this is taboo talk. A little bit of controversy. Why do we call Native Americans Native Americans?
Well, generally, it's because they're looked at as the original settlers, but a lot of the Native Americans actually came from other cultures. They came from Asia, they came from
Exactly.
other parts of the world.
Yeah.
So they were settlers before
Yeah.
the Europeans are settlers. But for them, those that have lived here longer, I guess you could say, I mean, to me, I was born in New York and I've lived in the United States all my life.
Yeah.
I'm a Native American.
Exactly. My point. I'm third generation born in America. I am a Native American. So
But if you
it's
look at it historically, they were considered first or supposedly here first. Maybe.
yes, yeah. So which Native American is the Native American? I mean, there are hundreds of tribes that have come and gone. So which one was the original Native American tribe? I
Well,
don't
but
know.
that's where that's the same thing, just like Israel and Palestine. We were here first. No, we were here first. This was
Exactly.
our people, but
Exactly.
it's there's no documentation or anything that I'm aware of,
Yeah.
as far as who was what, and they didn't really document anything. They
No.
just lived off the
No.
land.
So, in the words of the great philosopher Rodney King, can't we all just get along?
That's throughout history. It's always been fighting over property,
Yeah.
territory,
Yeah.
land.
Exactly.
The land is going to be here, after we're dead and gone.
Yep. Exactly.
It's what we
Exactly.
do with the land, how we preserve the land so that it can sustain future generations.
Right.
And right now, that's where we have all of this green energy. Are we killing the lands, killing the waters, killing the pollution and everything to where we're not taking care of the earth for future generations? That's the big argument that's going on right now.
Yeah, and that is a fallacious argument because the United States is the most clean country on the planet.
So we shut down a whole bunch of coal plants, but then we allow China to open up
Hello.
3 or 4 coal plants, and they're not going to adhere to,
They don't care.
how their
Yeah.
coal plants process the coal and what it does to the
Right.
environment in that area and how it affects the
Right.
ecosystem all
Exactly.
around.
Exactly.
So for all those people that are out there saying green energy, do this, do that, just think about, okay, we can stop America, which goes out of their way to create
Yeah.
clean energy, and stop dealing with coal, stop dealing with everything else, but allow Venezuela, allow China, allow Iran, allow these other countries to open coal plants or open other energy without any regulation, to how it affects the environment overall. So,
Yeah.
yeah, good
Well,
for you guys.
right. With that said, the cleanest energy is not water, it's not sun, it's not wind, it is nuclear. But we haven't built a nuclear power plant in decades. So anyway, FDR,
This is about Thanksgiving.
did you know? I was just getting ready to do this back on track. That in 1941, Franklin D. Roosevelt declared officially proclamation that Thanksgiving is set for the fourth Thursday of November. So
But
that's
who
how it is.
created Thanksgiving for the holiday first
Well,
and why?
I want to say it was George Washington back in 1789.
It
As
was
far
actually
as the
November 26th of 1789.
well, thank you very much. I didn't go into that much detail because I'm sure nobody's going to remember that. But anyway, but the point is that he was the first president, and he was the first president to declare it's a day of celebration or a day of remembrance or a day of reflection as much as anything else. So okay, now Ray, I want to shift gears a little bit, still on the subject of Thanksgiving. Why do we need Thanksgiving?
Well, I mean, it is a way to kind of reflect on the things that we are grateful for in our lives. I mean, looking at current, not in the past,
Yep,
but looking in the current, if there's a family that was dealing with cancer and they are now cancer free, it's a way of reflecting on all the hardships that they went
hmm
through to ultimately become cancer free. Or you with your broken leg,
yep.
and everything that you've gone through. You've had what, 5 surgeries now?
Four surgeries and one additional procedure. Wasn't really a surgery. So
But I'm sure you're thankful for your wife being there for you. I'm sure you're thankful for the doctors that
very much
are
so.
constantly there, all the
Yes.
anesthesiologists, everyone that
Yep.
helps
Yep.
put your leg back together so that you
Absolutely.
can ultimately be able to walk again.
And funny thing you say that. Suzanne's in a networking group here in North Texas, and she's got a friend that's in this particular group. Her name is Mary. I'm not going to give you the last name, but Mary and she have become very good friends over the past 6 months, 8 months, something like that. And this friend called Suzanne a few days ago and said, "Do you like turkey or ham?" We're like, I don't know. So Suzanne asked me, "You like turkey or ham?" I said, I food. I mean, I don't care. I said, "Why?" Because Mary's going to be dropping off a complete Thanksgiving meal for us this afternoon. And the reason for that, not that Suzanne can't do it herself, that I mean, I'm not of much value to help with that right now, but Mary said that her husband went through some medical issues a few years ago, and she knows how difficult it is to do everything that's necessary. So we are extremely grateful for what Mary is doing for us. So those are the kinds of things. Here's another one. There's a good friend of ours that had surgery one day last week, and she was actually having some fusing of some vertebrae or something related to that, and she was in the hospital for several days. She was released from the hospital. She's back in the hospital again. There was some complications, and so her husband sent Suzanne an email this morning and said, "We have a Thanksgiving meal on order. We're going to pick it up later today. Do you want it?" And Suzanne's response was, "Thank you very much, but freeze it. We don't need it. You freeze it." So it's those kinds of things. But yes, being grateful for all of the little things. I got to tell you a real quick story. When I originally broke my leg, that was March of 2021. Laying on the ground, I said, "God, I know this is going to hurt, so please take the pain away." That was number one. Number two, "God, I know you've got a lesson for me. What am I supposed to learn from this?" And number three is, who am I supposed to teach? So one of the first lessons that I was reinforcing, I already knew it, but I was reinforcing the lesson. When I got to the hospital, went to an emergency clinic. They got me stabilized and so forth. And several days later, I went to the hospital. Virtually every single person that was taking care of me, whether it was a nurse, one of the orderlies, janitorial staff, administrative staff, doctors, etc., everybody, I said thank you to. Every single person. And I shocked this one woman, and I'm guessing she was in her late 40s, early 50s, and she was in the janitorial staff. And she came in. I was kind of halfway groggy, but I was conscious enough that I could have a conversation. And she walks into my room very quietly, and she pulls the trash bag out of the trash can, puts a new one in there. And I stopped her and said, "Excuse me, it, can I ask you a question?" She said, "Well, yeah." I said, "I assume you're on staff here in the custodial or the cleaning area." She, "Yes, I am." I said, "Well, I just want to say thank you for what you're doing because you're making my room, my life a little bit better." Now, I didn't have to do that. And I'm not saying that to brag on myself, but how many times do we stop and thank people for those little things like that?
Sure.
So when somebody says, "Well, we're celebrating Thanksgiving," I said, "Well, I celebrated Thanksgiving a couple of months ago. I celebrated it last week. I celebrated it earlier this week. I'll celebrate it again next week, and the week after, and the week after, and so forth." I try to have an attitude of thanksgiving or gratitude all the time. So why do we designate only one day out of the year to express our thanks?
It's the same. Why do we designate only one day out of the year for Valentine's Day? I mean, it's to express your love for the person that you're with.
Yep,
Um, again, my take is to reflect back on all the things that everyone in our lives have done for us, and be kind and considerate, and kind of let them know that we appreciate them
yeah,
for
yep.
those little things that you're talking about.
Well, speaking of
Because
little,
you don't want to take people for granted. You want to show that attitude of gratitude,
yep,
by just sending them a little note, a send out card,
exactly.
or anything like that, that shows that you appreciate them for being in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of people in our lives and gratitude, I need to share some slides with you, Ray, because this is what really has gotten me through surgery number 4. It's a company called LifeWave. LifeWave has been around since 2004, and their claim to fame is they started developing some non-transdermal patches. Now, what does that mean? Here's a sample of one of those patches, and it's a little wafer thin patch. There's nothing that goes from the patch into your body. Okay, it just simply reflects light, our body heat, our infrared light back into our system, and it tells our body to do different things. So the mothership for the company is called X39. And here's a great little quote for you, or quick great question. "I finally figured out what I want to be when I get older. I want to be younger." And what the X39 patch does is several different things. Number one, it gives you more energy. It helps you rebound from exercise, and it actually helps improve your sports performance. Whatever sporting performance it is, doesn't make any difference if you're talking about, I don't know, playing tennis, or it could be football, it could be martial arts like yourself. It's going to help you perform better. It's going to give you better sleep. Dramatic pain relief. Yep. For me, before I started using these pain relief patches, or the X39 patches, I had to take a lot of drugs to get out of pain. Since I've started using these patches, the pain has been insignificant. I was on drugs the first surgery for about 2 weeks, the second, third, and this most recent surgery 2 to 3 days. And it has pretty much eliminated all of the pain. It helps with wrinkle reduction, helps with scar reduction. It actually, when it says youth renewal, it actually literally turns the clock back on our stem cells. So it reverses the aging process for you. So if you want if you want to learn more about LifeWave and some of the other products that we have, we've got several new products that are coming out very, very soon. Actually, some that just were just released over the past few days. And at a future time, I will share some of that information as well. But That's my story. I'm sticking to it. I love LifeWave.
And I know you're grateful for them or learning about their products
Yeah.
and coming into your life,
Yep.
as am I,
Yeah.
because I use the patches as well. So, yes, we're fully grateful for LifeWave. And if you'd like
Yep.
more information, just get a hold of Steve or myself, and
Yep.
we'd be happy to send you videos or information on what the products are and how they
Yep.
can help you.
And with that said, I'm thankful for my friend Barbara that originally introduced these patches to me. And I took the patch and I said, okay, fine, I'll try it. I knew it was a placebo. It was all up in my head. And then all of a sudden the pain went away. It's like, oh my gosh. so,
Maybe
so
not a placebo.
no, not, so Ray, I don't know if you remember or not, but back in the 70s, there was a commercial for Remington shavers. And the guy that was doing the commercials, he was the spokesman at the time. He says, I like the shavers so much, I bought the company. So, well, for me, I liked the pain relief so much, I became a brand partner for the company. So, if you want more information about LifeWave, if you're in pain, if you want to reverse that aging process, reach out. We'd love to give you some more information. So, back to Thanksgiving. It
So
just,
you were talking about ham or turkey.
yeah,
So here's some fun facts about Thanksgiving that you guys can share around the dinner table.
there you go.
The first Thanksgiving was celebrated in 1621 over a 3-day harvest festival and included about 50 pilgrims, 90 Wampai, can't say their tribe name, Indian, and lasted about 3 days. It is believed by historians that only 5 women were present at the time. Now, they were only serving, okay, so there are 2 surviving documents that reference the original Thanksgiving harvest meal. They describe a feast of freshly killed deer or venison, assorted birds or wildfowl, a bounty of cod, bass, and a variety of corn by the Native Americans, which was eaten as cornbread or porridge. So no turkey or ham there. It was just pretty much everything. They lived off of the land
Yeah.
and created that. So those of you that are deer hunters, hey, go out and have
Well,
a Thanksgiving deer.
so Ray, I told you one of my sources is David Barton and Wall Builders, but there's another source that I refer to frequently, Charles Schultz. And of course, Peanuts has a special that's going to be on tonight or tomorrow that is, it was made probably 40 years ago.
Hmm.
And of course, it's accurate. So we know that Charles Schultz and Linus and Charlie Brown, they would not steer us wrong at all.
No,
And
there's a lot to that history that you need to share about that.
here's another little tidbit. Did you know, and this is a little bit on the taboo side of things, so Charles Schultz, I believe it was CBS that he was contracted with for his specials, whether it was Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever. I believe it was Thanksgiving. When he wrote the play, wrote the script, and did everything and the animation and so forth, did you know that the original script did not have or had a black child in that script, but CBS told him that he could not have that black boy in the script, and he said basically, "Screw you! I'm doing it anyway. You are not going to discriminate."
Right.
So your friend Debbie is the one that shared that one with me. Here is a case where CBS was trying to be bigoted and racist,
Hmm.
and uh, so thank you, Columbia Broadcasting System bigots. So anyway, all
So
right,
that's a nice tidbit when you do watch that Charlie Brown special for Thanksgiving and you see the character that's in there. CBS originally didn't want that character, and he actually fought to keep the character in and won.
yep, yep,
So let's do some more tidbits that people can talk about the history table. Abraham Lincoln proclaimed Thanksgiving a national holiday on October 3rd in 1863. And this is more expressing his gratitude for pivotal Union Army victory at Gettysburg. So it didn't have anything to do with the historical part of Thanksgiving, but it was in that moment where he wanted to give thanks to getting that one step closer to having racial unity, I guess.
Yeah. Yep. Well, reunification of the North and the South, and get us
Yes.
back to being one country instead of two separate countries. So that's it, honorable, and that's one of the few things that people don't talk about. And Abe Lincoln was amazing at uniting the country. So
Yeah, he's actually one of probably my most favorite president out of the bunch.
yeah, yep. And I was going to give you a sick joke, but I'm not going to. So, all right. So, Ray, one of the things that I love doing is I love reading, but I like listening to books on audio as well. And I've been
Hmm.
going through a book recently, was listening to it, and part of it this morning. The author is Mark Batterson, and the title of the book is Double Blessing. And he's got several different things in there that really I thought would be things for us to ponder as we're going through the next few days, thinking about Thanksgiving. We are not ready for the next blessing until we thank God for the last one. So, I'm thankful for, as we talked, for the surgeons and the nurses and the drugs and the patches and Suzanne's friend Mary that's bringing us a meal, and all. I'm thankful for all of those different things. But do we take advantage of the gratitude as much as we should? So that's a question for you.
Right.
So here's another little tidbit from the book. He says that, and this is part of the Batterson family values. He said there are four areas: gratitude, humility, generosity, and courage. And those are some of the things that, as a family, they focus on. Now, he's a pastor in D.C., in Washington D.C., and he was getting ready to start a series on gratitude and Thanksgiving several years ago, and he gave a challenge to all of the people in the church. And there was one woman, she's an MD, that decided she was going to take it to an extreme. And she started making a list of all of the different things that she was thankful for. Things like mitochondria. Because if it wasn't for mitochondria, we wouldn't have ATP, which is the energy source for all of our cells. And he's listing off all of these different medical terms that she wrote all of these different things down to the atom level and molecular level in our bodies. And you think about that, are we ever thankful for those things? I'm thankful for oxygen. You know,
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, well, Zig Ziglar says it's not the most important thing. Or no, I'm thankful for money. It's not the most important thing, but it ranks right up there with oxygen.
Mhm.
So, so how many things do we just take for granted? Is that we shouldn't.
It is true, and here's something that U.S. presidents that take for granted, and they pardon turkeys. Do you know when that started?
I do not. I must admit I don't know.
So, history of U.S. presidents pardoning turkeys started with Harry Truman, who's credited with being the first president to pardon Turkey. But it's not true. He was the first to receive a ceremonial turkey from the National Turkey Federation and had it for dinner. So he didn't pardon it; he ate it. John F. Kennedy was the first to let Thanksgiving turkey go, followed by Richard Nixon. who sent his turkey to a petting zoo, and then George H.W. Bush is the president who formalized the turkey pardoning tradition in 1989.
Wow. All right, here's another tradition for me, at least. Right?
So you're gonna see President Biden pardoning a turkey.
I
It's
was gonna go there.
we'll
Well, I mean, he's already pardoned one turkey. Uh, but he's got another turkey that used to have a laptop. Anyway, we'll just just leave it there. We'll try and keep this on the up and up today.
yeah.
So okay, but here's a Thanksgiving classic. I already mentioned Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. I mean that's you gotta watch the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. But there's another classic, it, just one of those really feel good things from back in the 80s that came out. And Ray, I don't know if you remember the TV show, it was a sitcom, WKRP in Cincinnati.
Of course,
Okay, do
with
you
Les
remember?
Nessman.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Do you remember the episode where they were celebrating Thanksgivings by
Yeah,
dropping
out
turkeys
of
out of
out
the
of a
helicopter?
helicopter because Les thought turkeys could fly, and
Exactly.
nope, they just
Yeah,
fell to their peril.
yeah, breaking through windshields and
That has got to be the best Thanksgiving TV show that how people watch Chris their favorite Christmas movie or
yeah,
whatever. That has got to be the go-to show to watch for Thanksgiving.
absolutely. In fact, somebody had posted it on Facebook this morning, and I had to watch it just to get me in the mood for our program today. So I thought you would appreciate that.
So, what do you think the average number of calories consumed on Thanksgiving is?
I'm guessing probably between 4 and 5,000 just
You
for the one
guessed
meal.
correctly, 4,500 calories.
Yeah, I mean it's just it is. Yeah,
Luckily, I'm on a new diet that because I can't eat a lot of the stuff that's high in nickel. So I'll be reducing the number of calories that I eat this Thanksgiving, which, it's a good thing, especially since I'm trying to lose weight. So,
yeah.
did you know Butterball answers more than 100,000 turkey cooking questions via their Butterball Turkey hotline each November and December?
I'm actually surprised it's that low. I thought it was higher than that. I would have said, a million plus. But
I got 100,000, but hey, people are
yeah,
looking at
no, that's fine. That's
what's the
fine.
best way to cook a turkey.
So okay, so I know that people have traditions, and I work with clients all the time on some of the traditions and some of the, well, that's the way we've always done things. And I know growing up, my mom had certain traditions and her mother had certain traditions and so forth. And I started doing some specific things also back in the 80s. But a cute little story. There was a mom and daughter. The daughter was in her early 20s, and she and her mom are fixing a Thanksgiving or a holiday meal. And the daughter says to the mom, "Mom, why do you cut the ends off the ham before you bake it?" And the mom says, "I don't know, but because my mother always cuts the end off the ham before she bakes it." "Well, why does Grandma cut the ends off the ham?" "I don't know. Let's call Grandma." So they get Grandma on the phone. "Hey, Grandma, why do you cut the ends off the ham before you bake?" Now, stop and think about this. This was a family tradition that spanned 3 generations.
And
And
nobody
Grandma
knew why.
And nobody knew why. And Grandma finally solved the problem, the mystery. She said, "I don't have a pot big enough to put the whole ham in." So when you stop and think about the traditions, why are the traditions? By the way, I stole that from Zig Ziglar, so he started sharing that many years ago. But when you stop and think about some of the traditions, why do we do certain things? Those are some of the crazy things that we do that we shouldn't necessarily do. So, right, I want to digress for just a brief moment. We touched on the opportunities that people have to support Heroes in Action, but we did not talk about a big fundraising program that you've got coming up. And you've got to get some slides to me for a cruise that you have coming up in June next year. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about the cruise that's coming up?
We're doing a fundraising cruise with Royal Caribbean, June 8th through the 12th. It's a 5-day, 4-night cruise. And it's going to, of course, there's going to be training involved for those that want training. Those that don't want to train with us, they could just come and enjoy the cruise.
Cool.
Um, we're trying to do something fun and unique. It's
Yep.
called Survive and Thrive Adventures. So we're
Okay.
going on an adventure. This is the first cruise I've ever been on. And then you can go to Cozumel and do the outings, swim with the dolphins, do everything, and then on the way back we've got another 3 hours of training. But it's a something that I want to raise awareness to a whole different audience. So
That's cool.
if you're interested, you can go to our website, heroesinaction.us, and there's information about our cruise coming up. It leaves out of Tampa, goes to Cozumel, comes back to Tampa. And we are excited. Just contact
Very
our
cool.
travel agent and they'll take care of all the
Very cool.
arrangements for that. Just do $100 deposit. And then you have to have the trip paid off by beginning of March. And then we'll see you in
Very
June on the
cool.
ship.
Very cool. So
Okay.
I'm going to assume this is more than a 3-hour cruise.
No,
And
it's going to
we'll
be
just
more, and
we'll just leave it at
I'm
that.
excited for that. So you were talking about traditions.
Yep.
What are some for me being here in Florida, I have to start new traditions.
Yeah.
Because when I was back in St. Louis, it would always be us getting together at my cousin's house with my aunt, uncle, and cousins, and everyone would bring in. I would bring a dessert or salad, and everyone would just chip in, bringing in the food, and we would just get together. And I would, with my one cousin, end up falling asleep on the couch.
Of
But
course.
of course, everyone wants to watch the football game on Thanksgiving Day, so that's a big tradition that happens currently. And Thanksgiving, the tradition of football on Thanksgiving began in 1876 with the game between Yale and Princeton. And then the first NFL games were played on Thanksgiving in 1920.
Wow.
So those could be trivia questions that you guys talk about at
Yeah.
your Thanksgiving dinner
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Of course, one of the big games is the Dallas Cowboys, and I believe it's the Detroit Lions. So I believe that's one of the other traditions. So I can't tell you the last time I saw one of the games because I don't care. So that's just me.
Well, I'm gonna change the tradition for Thanksgiving here because in Florida it's gonna be around 85 degrees, and I'm going to the beach. That's gonna be my tradition.
Good for
We
you.
have a Thanksgiving meal and then just walk it off. We just
Good for
go
you.
to the beach and just walk on the beach and enjoy the warm weather and get a
Oh,
little
good for you.
exercise in, take a walk.
I'm jealous. I would like to walk off my Thanksgiving meal, but no walkie for me. So anyway, Ray, I'm going to do some other real brief shameless self promotion, and
Sure.
that is I want to talk about my one of my latest books. I've got one more that's coming out shortly. This is called Lessons from the Crutches. I mentioned earlier when I had my accident, first thing I said, God take the pain away. The second thing was, God, what lessons are you trying to teach me? And the third thing was, who am I supposed to teach? And as a result, when I was laying in the hospital bed, I started writing down some of the lessons. And there are 35 different lessons in this book. And it's all different kinds of things. And it's things like listen to those who have gone before you. Kind of a good thing. Listen to your advisors. Develop a support network. Ask for help. There are times that I just don't like asking for help. Learn to adapt. Um, One of my favorite quotes: Blessed are the flexible, for they shall not be bent out of shape. And that was originally said, I got to read the guy's name. This is an MD back in 1975, Dr. Michael McGriffey, and he was an orthopedic surgeon. Blessed are the flexible, for they shall not be bent out of shape. Then I've got stay in balance and have an attitude of gratitude perspective. So if you want to copy this book, it's $9.95. You can scan the QR code, that'll take you to my website. And it's a little one-page devotionals. There are 35 of them in there. It's good, lighthearted reading for you, for your family. So check it out. It'll be a great kind of a stocking stuffer for Christmas as well.
Yeah,
But
I'm
great time for it.
excited for your new book coming
Yep,
out as
yep.
well.
And
I'm
I
excited
got
for
the
you.
ebook, the first draft on the ebook this morning, and we got a couple of minor little things, but we'll talk about that more next week and
Sure.
weeks to come. So anyway,
Well, we
Ray,
got to wrap things up here.
yep. One last tradition, and that is several years ago, Suzanne and I got an apothecary jar, pretty good sized jar, and we put on the side of it gratitude. And when we have something that we're thankful for, we write it on a little slip of paper, put it in there. So when we have those down times, we can pull out those slips of paper and look at all the things that we should be grateful for.
That is
So
awesome. I think every family should do that.
absolutely. Ray, I got to close up with one thing that I am really grateful for, and that is my buddy Ray Amanat. I am thankful for your persistence
You
and your
beat me to
your
it.
annoyance a year and a half ago telling me we ought to do a podcast. And my initial response was, Ray, you are on drugs. What are you thinking? And we've been doing this now for 11 months. Can you imagine that? 11 months. We've had some fun conversations on here. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you
No,
for the podcast, and thank you for being my friend. I appreciate it.
thank you. And thank you to all of our viewers. Thank you to all of our friends, not just in Facebook but in our personal lives,
Yep.
friends and family members. Uh, we both here at Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve wish all of you a very happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Be safe. There's still crazy people that are out there. Just be alert, be aware. This is the safety guy and me talking. So, but enjoy your Thanksgivings with your loved ones, and we look forward to seeing you on our next episode
And
of Taboo Talk with Ray
don't
and
forget,
Steve.
like, share, comment, subscribe,
Subscribe.
all of those things. Folks, we want to build our audience. And again, thank you. We're a little premature. We're not quite there yet, but the OBBM network is where we are going to be planning ourselves with our syndication, and we'll be on several different podcast channels.
Please follow us. Let us help us reach 1,000 likes or a
Yeah,
thousand
absolutely.
followers. Get
Absolutely.
out there and share it with everyone and help us reach that 1,000 mark.
Yep. All right. So with that said, Ray, happy Thanksgiving to you and all your loved ones, and we will have a fabulous week coming up. Talk to you soon.
Absolutely.
Thanks, folks.